We pour so much of ourselves into a role. It gives us structure, purpose, community, and identity. And when that role shifts or ends, we're left asking, if I'm not that, then who am I? It can feel frightening because it seems like we've totally lost ourselves. But trust me, you haven't lost yourself. You've simply lost one expression of yourself, and there's a big difference. Your values, your wisdom, and your heart, they're still there. They're just waiting for new ways to shine. Hi there, I'm Wendy Rimmelsbacher, and welcome to the podcast show, Dim to Daring. Do you feel like there's something bigger waiting for you, but you're not sure how to make it happen? You're in the right place. I'm here to bring you inspiring stories, powerful insights, and practical strategies to help you reignite your spark, realign with your purpose, and take those bold steps towards the life you were meant to live. Let's dive in, because you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. Maybe you hit play because something about this title caught you. Or maybe someone sent it to you and you're not quite sure it's relevant. Either way, you're here. And I want you to stay. Because here's the thought that might be creeping in right now. I'm not retiring. I'm not in transition. This probably isn't for me. Okay, I hear that and I want to gently push back. Maybe you're still working, still raising kids, still deep in the role that defines your days. Here's why this conversation is still yours. If you don't cultivate parts of yourself outside of what you do, there may come a day when that role ends and you'll wonder who you are without it. Not because you did anything wrong, but because no one ever taught us to build an identity bigger than our roles. This episode isn't just for the women already in transition. It's for the woman still in motion. So she's never blindsided when life inevitably shifts. And it will shift. Your role will evolve. Careers will end. Kids will grow up and chapters will close. And when they do, the question isn't, what happened to me? It's, who else am I becoming? I recently met a woman. Let's call her Dr. Jen. Throughout her career, she was a beloved family physician who was respected by her patients and also a pillar in her community. She retired this past year, and when I asked her how she was enjoying it, her face fell. And here's what she told me. I don't know what to do with myself. For so much of my life, I knew exactly who I was. Now I wake up and think, who am I when I'm not helping my patients? She went on to tell me she feels invisible, disconnected, and unsure how to make friends outside of work. And then she said something that stopped my breath. I feel like I'm disappearing. Dr. Jen is brilliant, accomplished, and has decades of wisdom to offer. But without her professional identity, she feels erased. And she's not alone. This happens to countless women. What Dr. Jen is experiencing is what I call an identity dimming. That disorienting moment when a major life transition strips away the role that once defined you, and suddenly you're standing there thinking, wait, who am I without this? And it doesn't just happen with retirement. We see it in women whose children leave home, with women navigating a divorce, women stepping away from their careers they've totally outgrown, women whose health forces them to let go of what defined them, and even women who achieve a long-held goal and suddenly think, now what? We pour so much of ourselves into a role. It gives us structure, purpose, community, and identity. And when that role shifts or ends, we're left asking, if I'm not that, then who am I? It can feel frightening because it seems like we've totally lost ourselves. But trust me, you haven't lost yourself. You've simply lost one expression of yourself, and there's a big difference. Your values, your wisdom, and your heart. They're still there. They're just waiting for new ways to shine. Identity transitions are uniquely challenging, especially for women, for these few reasons. Many of us were taught to anchor our worth in what we do. So when the doing changes, we question our value. Our relationships are often tied to our roles. For instance, Dr. Jen's friends were her colleagues. When she retired, she didn't just lose a job, she lost a social ecosystem. We also lose a built-in structure. When your days have always had a rhythm, the sudden openness can feel overwhelming instead of freeing. And many of us moved from daughter to student to professional to partner or spouse to parent, never pausing to explore who we are outside the roles we carry. So when a role ends, it's no wonder we feel untethered. It's not a personal failing. It's simply that no one taught us how to hold our identity with room to breathe. Here's what makes this transition even harder. The stories we're telling ourselves, they grow louder during transitions. You might recognize some of these. I'm too old to start over. This belief freezes you instead of inviting you to explore what's possible. My best years are behind me. This one robs you of excitement about what's next. I'm not interesting without my title or role. This story makes you shrink instead of showing up as your full, vibrant self. It's selfish to focus on myself now. This belief especially grips women who've spent decades caring for everyone else first. But here's what I want you to understand. This transition is not evidence that something is wrong with you. It's evidence that you're human, that you care deeply about the life you built. And it's evidence that you're standing at the threshold of a new chapter, one that's asking for a truer, fuller version of you. So you can relax. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need the next right step. Here's a framework I use with women I work with. Step 1, grieve what was. So in other words, don't rush this process. You can be grateful for what was and still feel sad that it's over. Go ahead, give yourself permission to mourn. Start journaling if that helps. Talk to a friend. Cry if you need to. Grief isn't a weakness, it's honoring what truly mattered. Step 2, rediscover your core values. Start by asking yourself, what mattered most to me in that role? When did I feel most alive? And what values was I expressing? For Dr. Jen, maybe it was healing, connection, or making a difference. Those values don't retire when you do. They simply need new pathways. They need refreshing. 3, experiment with new expressions. Okay, this is the fun part and maybe a little scary. Both things are true. This is where things start to open up and where I want you to give yourself full permission to play. How can you express those same values in new ways? What's something that genuinely excites you? Maybe something you've quietly been curious about but kept setting it aside. It may be buried a little bit deeper, so give this some thought. Try it. Sign up for a class, say yes to an invitation. Let yourself be a beginner again. Here's what happens when you do. You gain new knowledge, new skills, and new connections. And sometimes Not always, but sometimes you find a person who just gets you in this new season. A new friend who knew you after the role, not just because of it. And that's a rare and beautiful thing. Remember, curiosity is a powerful compass. Trust it. Step 4 is build new community. This is often the hardest part. You have to intentionally create new connections through following up on new interests, volunteering, taking classes or workshops, attending community events, joining online communities, or even reaching out to old friendships you've let drift. Yes, it does feel vulnerable to put yourself out there. But remember this, other people are longing for meaningful connections too. You're not bothering them, you're offering them the gift of your presence. Step 5, practice introducing yourself differently. Shift from saying, I used to be, fill in your title and role, to saying, I'm exploring this, or I'm passionate about this. And let the conversation flow from there. This isn't about denying your past. It's about not being confined by it. Fair warning, these steps will feel awkward at first. Probably even scary. You may walk into that first class feeling like you don't belong. Your finger might hover over the send button for a full minute before reaching out to someone new. That discomfort is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're doing it right. See, you're stretching yourself into a new version of yourself, and growth always feels a little uncomfortable at first. Be gentle with yourself as you navigate this. Let me tell you about Sarah. Her youngest child had just left for college after 23 years of her identity being built around being a mom. The silence in her house felt deafening. She came to me feeling lost and a little embarrassed about how hard she was taking it. When we explored her values, she discovered that what she had loved most about her motherhood wasn't just caring for her kids, although that was a big part of it, but it was creating a warm, welcoming space where people felt safe and seen. So after we identified her core value as creating a belonging, she began experimenting. She joined a community garden, knowing nothing about gardening, but she was following her curiosity. And within a short time, she was organizing the potluck dinners for the group and launching a little free library there on that property and becoming the person who remembered everyone's name quickly. She admitted to me that she loves being a mom, but she knew she was so much more than that. She had just forgotten. She's still creating belonging. She's just doing it differently now. And that's the power of navigating identity transitions consciously instead of simply enduring them. So here's what I want you to do this week. 1, identify your core values. List what matters most to you, regardless of your roles. 2, make a short list of experiments that could express those values in new ways. And 3, reach out to one person you've been meaning to reconnect with. And for this month, I want you to do these 3 things. Try one new activity or join one new group. 2, introduce yourself by your interests, not just your history. And 3, have one meaningful conversation with someone new. And remember, you don't need a 5-year plan. Don't let this be overwhelming. You just need a willingness to explore. If you're in an identity transition right now, I want you to really hear this. You're not disappearing. You're not too old. And you're not starting from scratch. You are standing at the edge of something new, and you get to decide what comes next. And if you know someone who's struggling through their own identity shift, the retiree, the empty nester, the career changer, please share this episode with them. Sometimes knowing we're not alone is the first step towards finding our way. You're not fading, you're unfolding in a beautiful way. This next chapter has room for all of you. Your wisdom, your mess, your courage, and your curiosity. Every part of you belongs here. I think about Dr. Jen often. I wonder what she's discovering about herself in this new season. What parts of her she's reclaiming. What new communities she's building. I hope she knows she's not disappearing at all. She's just becoming visible in new ways. Keep believing in yourself and keep being daring. Thank you so much for joining me today on Dim to Daring. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribed, shared it with a friend, or left a review. It helps more women just like you discover the show. Remember, you're not finished yet, you're just getting started. Until next time, keep daring to grow and shine.